All in all, the entire school day is without a hitch. It could have gone better, mind you, but with the exams nearing, getting out of work before the sun has set looks as though it's a far-off dream for now. At least until they're over. Then, when we have holidays to look forward to, there really are times when you simply take what you can to get for the time being. All I'm hoping for is this will continue until the whole day ends. There's still that promise I made to Ashton, and frankly, the idea alone doesn't sound good. If Isabella didn't talk to them, what makes them think she'll talk to me? It's not like there's a hierarchy, is there? Just because I can handle Isabella's childish tendency doesn't mean I can do it at all times.
Really, those two give me too much credit.
Nevertheless, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, if only because I'm also worried about her. And with Zachary and Ashton deem it important that somebody get the story out of her. Here's to hoping it's got nothing to do with the letter again. I understand she feels a bit stressed lately, but keeping the story going on for more than a week is... it's bound to get tiring at one point. Seriously, I merely don't want this to end in another argument. God willing, the cafe special will help smoothen things out. After all, it's always been food with her. Or money. But mostly food. At this hour, the cafe is usually filled to the brim with people. That's the reason Isabella and I rarely ever go here during the evenings. It's simply too much of a hassle when we can prepare our food ourselves in the comfort of our homes, and there really isn't much reason to eat out lately. What with life going on in a busy streak. No time for long lines. Better spend that doing something productive,
Lucky
yes?
there isn't one tonight.
Shocking. Only a few people are idling around the counter. 4 of them, in fact, a woman in her 60s and a teenager busy with his phone. Both are just waiting to be served their orders. The other 2, a posh-looking man and a child, who I merely recognize as Kylie, appear to have not yet picked anything they want. For some reason, my stare lingers at the guy. Though dressed relatively well and looks harmless, I haven't seen him around these parts before. Someone new in the neighborhood, perhaps. Even so, there's something familiar in him. It feels like I've seen him somewhere before. That also begs the question of why Kylie is with him. Of course, the girl easily takes a liking to anyone who buys her sweets, so it's both a bit worrisome and unsurprising. The blonde bloke doesn't look particularly thrilled with the company, though. I tear my eyes away from them soon enough once the guy at the counter appears ready to take my order. Then I'd also hate to be accused of ogling strangers.
Evening special. Take out.
He's already punching in orders before I even finish. Saying my order out loud is really more for formality's sake and made out of habit. He has known Isabella and I long enough that if we ever drop by here, he already knows it's always because I'm buying dinner for the 2 of us. I rarely visit here alone if I can help it, but Isabella can sometimes be bad influence. He gives me a small smile before leaving to prepare my order while I fish out my wallet.
You little ankle biter. If I buy you the biggest parfait they have, will you please behave? I would just like 10 minutes of peace and quiet.
You said you'll get me some bread pudding this time.
Yeah, well, darling, they said they ran out of it. Just pick another one so we can be on our way.
Their parfait doesn't look as cute as the one my mom bought me.
Parfait is just ice cream, sweetheart. It'll melt no matter how dainty it appears. In the end, it'll all look like an ugly puddle. Now come on, just pick one. It could even be the most expensive one on that list. I don't give a shit. I don't care. Oh, what I would give for someone to buy you off my hands right now.
What? My whole attention instantly snaps back to them and their conversation. Jumping to conclusions isn't something I'm particularly fond of, especially when all of this are baseless assumptions, but you can't really trust a stranger these days. No one around the cafe seems to have noticed his words either. Very suspicious words. Still, I don't move. Yet. My hand has already shifted from my wallet to the book I'm carrying. Hardbound textbook. Looks harmless, but if a situation calls for it, it might be a good deadly weapon. Might. I haven't gotten the chance to try it anywhere so far. Today could be the day.
Promised.
Look, if you don't want a parfait, how about a Bonifay pie? I'm sure it'll taste just as good as any other bread pudding. I'll even buy you the entire tray. How does that sound?
That's not what you said before.
Well, sweetheart, adults change their minds sometimes.
You said if I come with you, you'll buy me a bread pudding, and I did, and now you won't keep your promise. I want to go home. I miss my mom.
No, darling, if I remember correctly, and I have a good memory, honey. What I said was, if you come quietly with me, I might buy you one. The quiet part didn't happen. Though now that I'm sober, I think this is a bad idea. I should just ship you someplace else for that peace and quiet.
Oh, that's it. No hesitation. In a few paces, he's within my reach, and without wording, I'm slamming the flat area of the book against his skull. There's a cry of pain, followed by him instantly crouching down, hands nourishing the sore spot. Almost comically, if this were a different situation, the safety of a St. Goretti student isn't at stake, I'll probably feel sorry for him. I mean, has anyone seen how thick this book is?
Get behind me, Kylie.
Miss Pink!
It's amusing how fast her expression changes from the pouty one earlier to something that of utter delight upon seeing me. But there's no time for any pleasanting, not even a quick one, because soon the man straightens and I'm ready my favorite newfound weapon for another hit. Except this time he's ready, and before I can land another, his hand shoots up to catch my wrist in a firm hold. And the look on his face.
Hell, woman, what's your problem?
To say he's pissed would be a complete understatement. Had I been the weak-willed sort, I probably would have cowered under his sharp gaze, but that simply isn't how I roll. If he thinks he can scare me and do as he pleases here, just because I'm a woman or whatever his reason may be, he's got another thing coming for him. So instead, I return it to him with the same intensity, with the same venom.
What's my problem? You're the one who has a problem here. Rotten bowbags like you don't deserve the freedom to run this town. What are you doing to this girl?
And why is that any of your business, pray tell?
Oh, it's my business if I make it to be. Now, release me or I'll call the police.
Oh, you think that scares me, Daisy?
I have a name, you sleazy douchebag.
Oh, I'm sure.
His grip on my hand only tightens when I attempt to shake it off. His tone may be dripping with anger or sarcasm, but the gleam in his eyes says it all. He's getting a kick out of this. Riling people up, getting on their nerves, invading their personal space. He knows exactly what and which buttons to push. The nerve of this person. The nerve is this arsehole. If he thinks I'm going to give in to his goading pleas, he might as well just kiss his sorry behind. In fact, why not do the most sensible thing right now? Teach him a tough lesson. Drop it.
Let me go, you uncouth lout.
Or else what?
I'll scream.
He laughs, a derisive thing that rankles on my temper more than he has any right to. As if he knows I can't do anything, or he's above any authority that exists in the city, confident he can get away with anything. The gall of this man. I'd like to punch him right now if I can.
Nice try, lady. Why don't you drop the book first? You could kill people with that, you know.
Fat chance.
Oh no, that attitude won't do, Daisy. Here, let's try that again, like the proper adults we both are. Drop the bloody fucking book.
And then what? If you're assuming I'm...
Then we'll have a nice conversation over a cuppa. Establish why you're attacking a poor, innocent stranger with a deadly weapon. And maybe weave in an apology or two for the offended party afterwards. I'm the offended party here, by the way. My brain hasn't returned to its rightful place yet, in case you're wondering.
Innocent. Don't play dumb. I heard what you were trying to do with that girl. Just because she isn't my student yet doesn't mean I don't have a role in protecting that child's innocence.
Protecting the what of who? Why would you... Oh, no.
In a span of a second, the expression on his face changes faster than anyone is capable of. From pure confusion to sudden realization, before finally deciding on a face of utter mortification. He's quick to drop his hold of my hand effort, like he's been holding a piping hot object and just realized it's in his hands all along. He's far from a decent person, but he actually might make good money doing comedy. The look on his face when he starts babbling his excuses is almost priceless.
No, this kid's... All right, lady, look, it's all a misunderstanding.
My tone can't go any flatter than the one I have now.
Right. Somebody help me!
He places his hand on my mouth before I spill the rest of it, and all at once I'm caught between trying to stop him from smothering me and keeping his dirty hands off me. But even as my nails dig deep into his wrist, he doesn't appear to have any intention of letting me. This is right in the public of the cafe, like no one sees it? What the fuck? Being loud works, however. Soon the attention of practically every customer seat in the smallest establishment is on us. I shoot each of them an imploring look, hoping one of them will have sense to help. The sleaze, however, is fast enough to flash them all an embarrassing smile.
This lady's having such a bad day. Poor girl's just been through so much today. Nothing to see here. Go on with your dinner.
Bad day. Even if this were a friendly chat, I won't even touch you with a 10-foot pole, much less share any problems with you. Blighter, you're my problem. I want to blurt it out, but with a hand covering my mouth and my lungs rapidly losing air, I bite down on his hand. Hard. It works. He yowls, jerks his hand away from my face, stepping back to put as much distance as he can between us while nursing his injured hand against his chest and muttering a string of very creative set of expletives. Tears that formed in the corner of his eyes from pain and a small laughter almost leaves me. To be frank, he gives the impression of a kicked puppy with a glare he shoots me. A puppy I'm less inclined to feel sorry about.
You mad woman!
I warned you, you ass!
Why, you... This is harassment, I'm telling you! Harassment!
Then why don't you tell that to the police once they get here,
You despicable! Whatever you're assuming I am, I'll have you know it's all in your head. None of it's true. You best have that pretty brain of yours checked before that gets worse. What is wrong with you? Is this the face of someone who'd do anything suspicious?
Yeah. You fucking cheater. What is this, she another one of your affair children?
Oh? You don't think a stranger, luring an innocent child with promises of sweets before whisking them away from their parents doesn't warrant any suspicion? You have a very funny definition of suspicious, asshole. Maybe you're the one who should have that head of yours checked.
The kid asked me to buy her sweets. You're the one who's suspicious here. I'll have you know, I have a wife.
That much at least appears to have a sliver of truth to it. He then makes a show of brandishing his left hand to my face with much flourish. Sure enough, a wedding ring is there, although all that earned him is an unimpressed glare from me. Immediately, a small part of me starts to feel sorry for whatever poor woman married this sod. I don't understand why he has to bring her up either, as if the mention of her alone will magically present a solution to his problems. She must truly be a remarkable woman if she can handle a dirtbag like him.
My wife of all people in this bloody city, has never, I'm telling you, accused me of such a scandalous thing! You crazy woman!
Married or not, you're still a sleaze. Honestly, I feel...
Miss Pink, why are you fighting with my Tio?
Whatever word still left to be said here dies on my tongue. The same thing goes for the sleaze. Beside us is Kylie, gawking at us with the same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that look all too well, a precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further. Her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with the children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you, until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either, it's dissolved into a shouting match for heaven's sakes. And did she just say Tio? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I friendly address her, devoid of apprehension and what might be the first hint of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. I could very well be just the hunger speaking.
Sweetie, do you know this oath?
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
What does Tio mean? Right at the moment, my brain stops. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Oh, I remember the wife mentioning that the friend had a daughter. This must be her. So this is Uncle Luke, probably, right? Miss all of it, my memory gets triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
Tio Luke, gazillionaire extraordinaire, am I? No, the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prayer has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me, I can feel him jeering and mocking, I can't even bring myself to look at him. What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now, but I know I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present just for the hell of it. But damage control. I need to do something before the whole thing goes south. As much as I hate the guy. Though it pains me to apologize to a sleazebag like him, this is my mistake. With Kylie watching us close by, I don't want to set a bad example for her, do I? I'm surprised she grew up the child she is. If anything, I want to be the role model this man couldn't possibly become from her. That soda. Even if it means taking a few blows to my ego and stroking his insufferable one. A deep gulp of air, a short moment to swallow my self-respect, and then I'm facing him. The words are out of my mouth in a single breath.
Really, really sorry, sir. I had no idea.
His smirk is impossible to miss. He's not making an effort to hide it, and even the smile is so irritating present in his tone. If I could slap it off him, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
It's an honest mistake, Daisy.
No, I really mean it. I actually thought you were... And then...
It's fine now. It probably happens quite a lot to a few people who look suspicious to you. Seems I'm one of them now. But don't lose sleep over it. Do be careful with that book, though. A little more and you would have dislodged my poor brain off my head. What would I ever do if that happens?
Oh no! Did it leave a mark or anything? If you want, we can have it checked. I'll handle the expenses if there's a need for it.
Now, what kind of man would I be if I let an attractive woman such as yourself do that? Why don't we just look at it this way? My forgiveness is coming from the utter goodness of my heart.
So full of himself. Exactly the kind of person I'll happily leave to die in a ditch somewhere.
Of course, sir. Why didn't I think of it that way?
I know, right? But even someone as capable as you is bound to have a few lapses. No harm done, Daisy. Let's move on from this.
Well, if you're going to put it like that, then I guess there's nothing left for us to talk about.
I figured as much.
Awkward. The whole exchange is nothing but an awkward display of fake pleasantries. One that brings much agony to the very pride I've willingly held back a while ago. I might need a drink later so I can forget any of this ever happened. Who would have thought the time would come when I'd meet someone tougher to handle than Isabella? Miracles of miracles, I swear. Though, to my surprise, he proffers me a hand shortly after before they leave. For a shake, I realize after a long minute of staring at it. I accept it, albeit half-heartedly. But all of the goodwill that small gesture represents melts into thin air when he winks at me. Winks. The gall of this man. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. Fucking hate Luke. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally I return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and that scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. The cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spread out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and the obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mom's hometown, another time in the university she used to attend. Then she asked if it's possible to try it out here sometime. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton. Though up until now, we never got around to it. Even so, I find myself enjoying this, despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know? Stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. But the fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. Kylie sitting in the back seat with a serving of bread pudding in her hands. Beside him, it must be his wife. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. But throughout the night, that cursory glimpse of all things to bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. And more than that, is a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. Impossible! After having such an eventful day, everyone will think nothing will surprise me anymore. But here I am, standing at the top of a stairwell, watching an odd scene unfold before me, relief crossing my mind first, followed by confusion.
What is she doing there?
Although, given what happened this morning, the question feels a bit inappropriate to ask directly. What's important, Isabella's here. She's sitting cross-legged on the hallway, just right in front of her room, with several papers and folders scattered about. Each of them seems as important as the next. More than once, upon giving this scene a quick scan, I spot Briar Realty logo on the topmost area of the pages. Everything considered, it looks like a mess made by a third grader working on a crunch time. The landlady will have a few things to say about this when she finds out. I have a few things to say about this myself, in fact. But something in the calm, focused manner she holds at present keeps me from disturbing her with that reminder. She's going through each paper with this intensity. Her brows are furrowed, lips in a tight line, both hands moving in precise movements as she sifts through each sheet. When she finds something of note, she moves closer, nose almost touching whatever paper she's holding, and grabs her phone to call
Hello.
someone.
Sorry to call you this late. There's something I just want to confirm, if that's okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. Thanks anyway. Not that one either.
It's a cycle. She goes through call after call. Then after the last one, she ends shuffling through the pile again and dials another number. Does it work? I've never seen her this engrossed with her own work before. Otherwise, she would have noticed my presence in the moment I've reached our floor. After the 9th call, she still appears as oblivious as it is when I've arrived. When she lets out a loud sigh this time, I immediately take that as an opportunity to interrupt.
Isabella, you know the house rules here.
I once her head jerks back and hits the concrete wall behind her with a thump. There's the Isabella I know. Glad it's still there. I allow her a moment to nurse it before speaking
Becca,
again.
you're late.
Yeah, I ran into a little trouble at the cafe. But I brought food for the two of us, if you haven't eaten anything yet.
As anticipated, she grins once as I raise the bag of food I'm holding. Yet it doesn't reach her eyes. There's nothing of the cheerful glint in it this time. There's a hollow tone for the sake of being polite. Ashton's right. Something's happened.
Maybe later. I've got to finish this first. Just leave it here. I'll eat it once I'm done. Thanks, Becca.
You can't eat this here. You know how the landlady would react. Why are you even working outside? Your room's right there.
I know. Sorry. It just feels stuffy in my apartment right now. I'll go back inside once everything's been aired out. I promise.
That has never bothered you before.
Well, it bothers me now.
Oh, really? Just now? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah? Shouldn't you be happy? I mean, you've been complaining even if it's not your room. Now I know how you're feeling when it's messy, so I'm going to clean. Isn't that a good thing?
In spite of what's supposed to be good news, an exhale comes from me, drawn out
It's a
and slow.
good thing, Isabella. Believe me. But you're as bad as Zachary at lying. What's really going on?
She hastily averts her eyes, a surefire indicator that this is going to be one of those lengthy conversations that can possibly end with the other person angry. Again. It's one thing I'd like to avoid tonight at all costs. Still, I'd made a promise to Ashton and Zachary. If she didn't talk to them, who else is she going to talk to? If she keeps this all to herself, who knows what might happen?
Isabella, you can tell me. Is it about your family?
A slight movement of her lips, although a frown, it's a reaction at least. I'm
Rose?
getting there. She merely shakes her head. Just a little more.
Come on, I know something happened. I don't know if it's because of Rose, but I know it's related to her somehow. You weren't here when I visited this morning, and both Zachary and Ashton are worried about you. If you don't want to tell them, you can tell me. Does it have something to do with work? Office?
If I didn't know her, I might have missed it. She shifts then, her fist clenching tight and teeth biting her lower lip, and you would have missed it? And there's fear. Look of terror in her is the last thing I expected to see out of everything. Her mouth trembles briefly before she opens them. When she finally voices out, the words simply spill out of her mouth, one after other. All of it. True to what I promised her, I listen. Because this is something she's been keeping to herself, even from the two most dependable people I know. The fact she chooses to tell me, this speaks a lot to me.
She was there again. Last night? In the office? Boss passed me all of Rose's lure load yesterday. For the Ermengarde mansion. I had to stay late to finish them all. And then, when I was about to go home, I saw her. I saw her again. She was standing in front of me again last night, Becca. I couldn't get away. She was blocking the door. If I hadn't hidden myself, even if I made the tiniest noise, if she found me.
Sorry. Had a bubble stuck.
Becca, she almost did. If she saw me under my table, I think that would have been the end of it. I'm scared. I'm so scared I won't be able to do anything.
Okay, I gotta stop drinking soda. By the end, her hands are trembling and her breathing comes out in rasping intervals. For a long moment, the silence stretched out between us, let her sobs fill it instead. But even as her soft whimpers died down months later, there's a heaviness hanging in the air. Not just from her, but also from me. For my exasperation over this whole matter, for my own frustration over her stupid superstitions, when she could do us all the favor and grow a backbone. She may be young, but she's no longer that young. It's about time to put an end to this. She can't keep going on like this. She's still got plenty of years to live out. And what if she goes home? What if we're no longer here to keep her fears in line with what's real? What would she do then? I'm more afraid for her, for what the kind of imagination will do to her, than what if some imaginary monster could do. But with the same manner she's looking at me now, there's an expectation in it, a hope and a plea sewn together. She wants me to believe her this time. If it's like that, then what am I supposed to say now? We're not gonna hurt her, because you can sing shit too, bitch. As much as I want to set her straight, a reprimand isn't what she needs right now. With that pouty face she's given me, I doubt it'll ever end well if I push it. I know her. When she wants to be stubborn, she's stubborn. But there are moments when she can be acquiescing too. Times when she'll be more accepting of what I tell her, despite her inclination to disagree with it. That talk can wait. In the meantime, I'll be the ear that listens to her without judging her, without criticizing her, despite my own opinions on it.
You should have called me.
She stares at me like I've grown another head, and a laughter slips out before I can stop myself.
I can't do that! What will you do? Hit her with a book? You'll be dead before that happens. And
That isn't what I'm talking about. After you got out, you should have phoned me. You didn't have to go to Zachary's.
The corners of her mouth curl up, a sheepish smile by general definition, but this is Isabella. Her smiles are never half-hearted, never lacks her high spirit. In spite of this, I know everything's going to be okay, somehow. After all, she learned how to pick herself up long before we met.
yeah, sorry. I don't even remember how I ended up in Zach's place. I was in a hurry to get out of the office, and it was already late. Besides, I don't really think you'll believe me if I wake you up over something like that.
That's beside the point. True or not, there are people who will always be concerned about you. There's Zachary, but he's the first person you went to, and you didn't tell him anything. You just slept there. There's Ashton too, and me. But how do you think I'll be able to explain to your aunt or your family if you suddenly disappeared? Think about that.
Right. I'll remember that next time.
Then she grins. Playful and mischievous, a preamble to an older banter. It's still not quite there, still not quite her usual self, but with it, I know we're bound to get her back soon.
I told you not to call me that.
I send an elbow to her side for added measure, but when laughter follows the familiar gesture, none of it is unexpected. This is what's comfortable. This is how we found an equal ground despite our stark differences. So, for the moment, I accept things as they are. Afterwards, a hush stretches out before us. For Isabella, this is rare. This isn't her. Yet in this moment, as she fiddles with the edges of another paper near her, as she hugs her knees close to herself and lets a pensive expression linger on her, it feels strangely fitting. As if this is where everything's supposed to lead to if we allow it too long ago. Seconds later, the moment is broken by the sound of a door easing open and a voice begging some little piece.
How many times have I told you girls not to loiter around the hallway? It's noisy. Some people here are trying to sleep. Quiet down or go do your talking inside. I'm pinning a memo to your door the next time this happens. Millennials.
Sorry, we won't do it again.
You'd better.
The door closes and Isabella starts gathering the messes she's made, carefully stacking them all in her arms. At a loss for what to do, I help her pick them, and for the first time, I get a closer look at it. Completely unintentional, of course, but it catches my attention, nevertheless, and a confused frown makes its way to my face. Why is she looking through this? I look to her for an explanation, but she merely ignores the question in my eyes, takes the paper off my hands, and finishes cleaning up. The last paper she puts on top is a letter. The one she supposedly found in the mansion, and what's probably the root cause of this odd behavior. I shoot her a questioning look for that too, but all she gives me is a smile. And in a halting tone, and so completely unlike
Becca,
her.
I'll find a way out of this. You guys don't have to worry about me. Anyways, I should go. I'll see you later.
Where are you going?
Getting myself some food. Don't wait for me.
Isabella walks away before I can stop her, before I can remind her that I've bought enough food for the two of us. She quickly disappears down the stairwell, while I'm left standing in an empty hallway holding 2 bags of takeout. One of them will go uneaten tonight, just as innocent passing thought. One thought I don't dwell much on as I head back to my room. I ignore all of it in the same way I have assumed I won't ever encounter that douche again.